As I previously mentioned in another video, our Camino, my wife and I's Camino, was our Camino. It was not a month or weeks of walking a dusty trail. It was a pilgrimage, and it was our pilgrimage, and it was largely done on a plane, then cars and trains, and it was our Camino, and we got. I think we got something out of it that we weren't expecting to get out of it. When I mention Adoration by Candlelight, I'm literally talking about Adoration by Candlelight. If you know what Eucharistic adoration is, maybe you're Catholic, maybe you're not, it is being in the presence of the Holy Eucharist outside of Mass. It's not taking the host, it's not consuming it as you do during Mass. It is being in the presence of Christ's body. Typically in a monstrance, it would be set up, just the thing that's holding the Eucharist. So let me skip ahead to Burgos, which is at this point on the back half of our Camino. This is a place that it's a major stop on the French Way, which is far and away the most populated, the most number of pilgrims on the Camino Santiago. It's famous for being a main pilgrimage stop, and we were very much looking forward to, for the first time, seeing a bunch of pilgrims. However, it's known in addition to that for El Cid, who, if you don't know who he is, ELCID. He was a Spanish warrior, count who lived around 1,000, 1,100 or so. He fought a lot of wars. Basically a local warlord, would fight whoever he needed to fight. Very loyal, very honorable, seemed like a great dude. He's buried there, and that was where he was from, and that's where he spent a lot of his life. So local hero. But they have a huge cathedral there. It's the Burgos Cathedral. This is not where our adoration took place. However, we were in Madrid. We were captivated just really as soon as we got to Spain. Just a little bit of the architecture and colors of the airport were just so Spanish looking and cool. And then when we arrived in Madrid, came up out of the metro and the Plaza del Sol, just bathed in sunlight and the architecture and all the people there. It was just wow, this is awesome. Love Spain. And just seeing the street signs and seeing our hotel, which was an old convent monastery type structure that had been converted into a hotel long ago. Just the food culture, the people, the history, all of that for 5 days in Madrid. And then we headed up to the Basque country, up to the coast, to San Sebastian for a couple days. Fell in love with that place. And then we came down to Burgos. And Burgos was a place I was really very much looking forward to for the history part and for, like I just said, seeing pilgrims, because we hadn't really seen, although we had seen the shell inlaid in sidewalks and streets and on the sides of buildings and street signs like at our own hotel in Madrid. We hadn't seen maybe a couple people on the plane with the big, dead giveaway backpacks, or people that look like they might be pilgrims. We had one lady on a food tour with us one night in Madrid she was just traveling solo. She's pretty young, in her 20s, and she was doing it by herself. I just stopped over in Madrid. So we were looking forward to seeing that in Burgos. We were just looking forward to kind of being a part of it. Even though we weren't walking there, we were still journeying to these sites. And we go to the cathedral, we get a look at it at night, and it's amazing, just lit up at night. It's huge. It's just so much bigger and more ornate and beautiful than anything you could ever imagine over here in the United States as far as churches go. We go to this monastery built in the 1100s, a little outside of the main part of town. We spent a few hours touring around that, and we're feeling something as we're walking around the town. And it just feels, it feels like we belong there. You know, there's not even, it's not even 200,000 people in this town. It's not huge. We live in the DFW Metroplex. There's like 4 million people around here. This place has 200,000 in the metro area, Burgos, I think. Maybe 180 in the town proper. But these towns are isolated when you're in Spain and Castilla and Leon. So it's not like a sprawling suburban area around it like you would have over here in the United States. We're walking along the peaceful river. We have already seen the church at night. We haven't gotten to go into it for a whole walk around. We're going to do that later in the day, and we're going to plan on spending some hours later in the day. But first we walk outside the town and we hit the monastery, take a tour of that for a few hours. So then we come back and we do our tour of the cathedral. Amazing beyond words. I'll do a video on the cathedral and the monastery, one of these upcoming videos. But I just wanted to get to this candlelight adoration thing first, because it's kind of what, you know, when you go on a pilgrimage, you're not knowing how or what to expect, but you are in search of something, in search of some sort of clarity, enlightenment, movement of the spirit, whatever it is you are looking for or hoping for. And often you probably don't even know exactly what you're hoping for or looking for. And that was certainly the case with us. So we're a week into our Spain trip, and we're here, and we've spent a day in Burgos, and we had the tapas the night before for dinner, and it was so cool with all the people just out with their families. And we walked back to our hotel, and again, I'll go into a whole Burgos video. But the second night, we're only there 2 nights, we're going to head back from eating, and we've had a really long day with the walking in the monastery and the cathedral, and we ended up going to Mass that night randomly on Friday night in the cathedral in a place that had been closed off. We couldn't go to it on our tour, but we realized later in the rain, just taking some shelter by another huge door at the cathedral, that there was going to be a Mass at 7:30 that night, and it was like 7 o'clock right now. So we said, oh, awesome, we'll do the Mass. It's a pilgrim's Mass, and in there, we didn't know it, but like almost everyone there was a pilgrim, because the priest called them all up for a special blessing, and they all kind of look around and stand up and walk up together, and they don't know each other or anything. So that was awesome. Then we go and we get some food, and we notice more family. You notice a lot of dads out with their kids or young daughters or their young sons, and entire families, of course. A lot of young people running around. And we decide to call it an early night because we've got a pretty decent drive early the next morning. We want to get to Santiago de Compostela as early as we can the next day. And we're walking back just from dinner, all these little Spanish streets, and they're closed off to cars for the most part. And we are just on the sidewalk, and it's a big wide sidewalk, and we notice coming up here that there's some light coming out of the doorway of something, and it's dark. We don't really know what it is. We can't see like the whole, what is this building or anything. It's just along this street. We get up closer and we walk up and we look in the big doors, and we notice that there's a giant altar up there with gold reflecting in candlelight. There are no lights coming out of this place. There are no electric lights on, but there are a whole bunch of candles up by the altar, and the whole thing is just lit by candlelight. And it's like 9:15 at night on a Friday, and there's quite a few people in there, and we realize it's adoration going on right there at the main altar, not off on some side chapel or another area. It is just this Friday night, and it's candlelit, and it's the Church of San Lorenzo de Real. This one's only 350 years old or so, 330 years old or so. It's a Baroque church, just magnificently ornate with the gold up by the altar. But you're only seeing it reflected in the candlelight. And we go in and do this. Now, you have to understand my wife. She is she's pretty devout, and I guess we all have our own levels of devoutness or non-devoutness. Devotion, I guess you would call it, not devoutness. It can be interior, it can be exterior, it can be out loud, it can be quiet. She's been pretty into rosary, praying the rosary, daily rosary, sometimes a few times a day maybe, but definitely daily rosary, and she really never misses it. And also going back to, I don't know when she started this exactly, but I'd say it started during Lent this year, a weekly adoration. So she will, like, she is going to adoration wherever we are, once a week, outside of Mass. It might be a Friday during lunch from work or something like that. Go to the nearest church. She wanted to keep this up when we were in Spain. And we go there and this presents itself. This adoration, this candlelight adoration. And we go in there and we're not in there long. Usually she's 30 minutes to an hour, I would say, when she's doing it on her own time. But this time we went in there. She probably thought that I didn't want to stay that long. I didn't say anything. I was there with her, and I'm doing it too. I'm not the pro that she is. I've only done it a few times, and she's doing it weekly. And I was trying to think of another time I did it besides this trip, and it was back on Holy Thursday. They had it at our own church in Arlington. It wasn't candlelight. And it was off in a separate little room building thing, like I mentioned. This one wasn't. It was at the main altar. So in that one, I was just moved to tears for the whole service by the end of it. And I don't know, actually now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know. Maybe I need to look more into adoration. Because that was such a powerful night, that whole Holy Thursday service, and then the adoration at the end, and then a conversation with someone after the adoration. But yeah, it was pretty magical, and it was a real thing, and we couldn't, I don't know, we were just kind of overcome. We came out of it. We couldn't believe it. That was a thing that could be. And it could be in that town, because we had already, I don't know, we were just taken with Burgos unexpectedly the first day and a half we were there, and to have it capped off by this experience, that's what put us over the edge, to saying, wow, wouldn't it be really cool to live here, to saying, like, we kind of feel like we belong in this place. And we feel like when you find, I don't know, with everyone, when you find your own tribe, whether it's whatever, you're getting together with people who are all in the same boat as you. Maybe it's your family or your friends or college buddies or people you grew up with, whatever it is. We had that feeling, but we don't know a single person who lives in any city in Spain. But we just had that feeling from the start that these are our people, that maybe we should belong here for a little while, or could belong here, or do belong here. And that candlelight adoration just kind of, I don't know, it just kind of, everything just kind of locked into place, I think, in that moment. And there's something to that. There is something to the silence. There is something to just being in the real presence of Christ. There is something to being just listening, just with your ears, with your eyes, with your heart and your mind and your soul, just being open to all of it, and letting it affect you and allowing it in. I don't think it's something where you're gonna ask a specific question and look for a specific answer. I think it's just saying, I'm here and listening, and you are my total focus, and there is nothing else in the world in this moment I think that's where the real magic happens. The real contact, whatever it is. It's people talk about God spoke to me or God told me this. I've never heard any words with my ears, but you can have a sense that that this is the thing. This is the thing that was communicated to me. Was it communicated to me that we have to come home and list our house and go find a place to rent in Burgos? No, but that feeling, that emotion, I think God talks to us through emotion. I think He talks to us through feeling. He is going to convey whatever He needs to convey to us in a way that we can understand and we can feel. Not that we could know with our heads, but in a way that emotionally we can realize that this is a thing that He's trying to get across. And I wouldn't worry too much about missing it. I wouldn't worry too much about, was God telling me I really should buy these cool shoes or this cool whatever, or telling me that I really should eat this piece of chocolate cake? Well, no, I don't think it works like that. I think He's gonna just come for you. I think He's gonna hammer it, and I think if it's something that He wants you to know, that He wants you to feel, that He wants you to do, there will be no mistaking it. And I think that moment, those minutes, those 10 or 15 minutes in that Candlelight Adoration at San Lorenzo de Real in Burgos, Spain, I think it was one of those moments where the groundwork had been laying for I don't know how many years, but it just builds and builds and builds and builds, and finally it is like, how much more clear do I need to be, dude? This is a thing you need to be paying attention to. This is a thing that exists. This is a thing you could be a part of. So get off your butt and start figuring out how to do what you need to do. Maybe it's that kind of thing. I don't know. But it certainly crystallized in that moment for my wife and I that this is something that could be real and that most likely is real. So that's what I wanted to share with you all. If you don't know what adoration is, look into it. If you do know, just stick to it. My wife's been doing this for a long time, and she gets a lot out of it. And I'm not saying stick to it because you can have a life-changing moment. I'm saying that's a good way for you to just sit and be present and be listening and open. And for me, it is laying in my bed in the dark when everything's turned off and everything's quiet and nothing else is going on, and it's when I go to sleep at night. It's when I wake up in the morning before I do anything. But I think it's different for all of us. It's whatever works for you, whatever puts you in that in communion. So that's it, and hope you all are doing well, and we'll see you in the next one.